The test 39. We are picking up from Lamed Chesed base 38b. We are picking up Betalfachi Dechala. It's a lot to do today. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines up from the bottom. What's our shir this morning is dedicated by Menachem and Susie Schoenfeld in honor of Uncle Mike's birthday. It was yesterday, but Baruch Hashem, it's Isru Chag. Today, still no tachnun or anything. Uncle Mike, Mazel Tov, happy birthday. Thank you for everything you do for us. Lish Baruch Hu should just give you a beautiful life, beautiful bracha, beautiful happiness, and me'eve esim shanim tovos. And yes, for those who Uncle, it does. For those who Uncle, it doesn't make a difference. I will say, let's made from kemach lentils mixed together. If it's made with vinegar, everybody agrees that it'll be aser, because we'll say once you're using vinegar, then by definition, there's an issue of yayin nesach. Ki pligi. So we'll say when Mar savar gazrinan ha'atuha. You sorry, and one holds that you don't. To Hamelach, the chsev quotes over here the pasuk Mishka v'safo sukliyotzer v'chi tzani l'shuki dinarda. The less the chayik shlaha davua dishmo ulevi. And the Gemara ends off with an interesting statement. Baskets and baskets of shesisa with the issues brought up by Avodah Shmuel and Levi. So we'll say it appears that the restrictions regarding shesisa were significantly relaxed, at least in the city of Narda, and Jews were in fact buying Gentile shesisa. Good. So let's remember again, this is talking about kvashin is preserves, meaning something that is used to preserve another food item. So the Mishnah says over here that if you have kvashin that when is there a problem? Only if it's known that the Gentile but if it's so if you have to darkan will say but not isr hano aval bi adua, but if so the preserves become asr even by no. The shar rabban ba no the rabban will say in the case of the morios, even if there is wine that even if you know for sure that Hassam will say top of Lamates. So why should this be different by Morios? Here's the difference. In the case of the Morios, Ilinbo, Varot of Nechal, Vahayayin Nechal Imo. So we'll say the whole idea is preserves, so ultimately again you're not the preserves themselves. She said, why is it problematic? That develops fins and scales later on. Mix in other non-kosher species into that. About fins and scales, or so we actually made reference to this concept. So you have a fish, which you know, but more often than not, it appears this really happens much more with scales than with fins. But okay, nevertheless, right now you have a fish. For example, the sultanas and the office, harei zemoter. Scales right now, but we know definitively that it is going to develop it, the fish is kosher. Next, let's say let's say you have a fish that has fins and scales when it's akunos va'afunos kit. So all species of fish, mutter. We'll say that. Now, when you take it out of the water, it's going to. Sorry, it was actually quite interesting. Rabbi Avo made the following announcement in Kesari. We'll say Kesari is Kesaria, which is. He says, "Kirvei dagim v'ubrim." So we'll say, "Nichrin mikol adam." Why? He says, "Chaska." Fish came from Pelusa and Aspamia. In the port of Caesarea, you could buy fish from anyone. Kiha do amra. So we'll say this is the type of fish. This type of fish, Rashi says, Tzachnos, or Rashi identifies as young, and the concern with it is that it could potentially look like a non-kosher fish. Yet, again, Abaye said, the Tzachnosa of Bavnara, we'll say Bavnara is a place, Sharia, you could buy it there. Why? Even from a Gentile. My timer, Ile Mushum Diridifi Maya. So we'll say, if you want to say it's because the current of the water is very strong. Vahaidak Tome, Kevan Deles Lechota Shedra, Beduchta Diridife Maya Lo Matsikoi. We'll say, we make the assumption that generally non-kosher fish do not have spines. So because of that, I will say, they can't normally exist in places where there's a strong current of water. Meaning a fish apparently needs the spine to be able to either to swim with the current, swim against the current. So maybe you'll say that in Bav Nara, where there's a strong current of the water, so non-kosher fish really can't live there. Therefore, by definition, you could assume that it's a kosher species of fish. But one second, Vaha kachazi dekai. But one second, we see it's not true. We see that there are non-kosher species of fish to be found in Bav Nara. Ella mishum demelichi mayo. Rather, you have to say it's because the water is salty. V'hai dag tame, and non-kosher fish, keva de lesle kalfi, beduchta demelichi mayo lo matzikai, and non. One second. V'haka chazina dekai. It's not true. We see that there are plenty of species of non-kosher fish. Quite interesting. So apparently, again, in the silt, right? That's found like on the seabed. So apparently, it wasn't able to support non-kosher fish species. Therefore, was a and the Gamda River pour into Bavnara. This on the earth has some type of sea counter. So interestingly enough, the donkey of the sea is a kosher fish, which is which? Tame tar tame. Is not kosher, the ox is kosher, but yet in the water, the donkey is kosher, the ox is not kosher. Amarav Ashi, Shefar Nuna. So Kaddish Nuna, Aser. The Kaddish Nuna, that type of fish is Aser. V'simanech, how do you remember this? Called the Kaddish Nuna is also the fish called Kever Nuna that is Aser. Same way that you can't go next to Kirei Odei Gochalim. Okay, Rabbi Akiva, Dahavidami Lichipusha. They brought before him a fish, right? That looked like a chipusha. So once I saw what happened, in a bowl. Rashi says, "B'dikula," the bowl around. He like thrashed the fish around. Else came off. So sure enough, again, So Rav Ashi went to Tamduria. Litzalufcha. So what's what happened? They brought before him a fish that resembled a tzulufcha. So what happens? Nakte lahade yoma. So we'll say he held it up against the sun. Right? He held it up against the sun. Chazar dahave beit simchi vishari. And he saw ultimately again that's what? That it had scales, and therefore again he permitted it. Okay. Didn't have a Masorah for. Right? It's a certain fish we have a Masorah for. They didn't have a Masorah for these. So again, literally the Gemara is telling us that you check. You check ultimately again, does it have fins and scales? Rav Ashi ikla hu asra. Rav Ashi went to particular fish that resembled the shafranuna. So what happens? Is it kosher or not? So chafye b'mashchile chiyure. So he put it in a white thing, like thrashed it around in the bowl a little bit, and he the consumption of the fish. Rabbi Bar Barchana a tzachanta. They brought before him a tzachanta. This is the fish when it's young, doesn't have fins and scales. Bati. They will say bati is a non-kosher species of fish. He saw that this fish really was a kosher fish. But yet, so was there a circumstance? There's a message here. So species, then what? It must be that what? Chose not to eat the fish. L'tzafra ayin be. He looked at the mixture. It was mixed in over here. So we'll say Yisifi, and he said Kari Anafshe. He said that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks out for the tzaddik and makes sure that the tzaddik does not even inadvertently. We'll say koret means a stalk. Chiltis was a type of wheat, was a type of grain. So the Gemara says you can't eat the koret shel chitis, you can't eat this grain. What could possibly be wrong with grains? Well, it's actually quite interesting. Goes ahead and harvests this wheat, I will say, is how? With his knife. So the issue is that this is the same knife that he uses for what? That he uses in order to be able to use a Gentile knife, even Rabbosai even with some fish. This comes up often in the case of fish. A person wants to buy fish, and let's say a place that doesn't have a hashgacha to the shear. And I will say, but very, very, very big problem with anything being. So the Gemara says over here, that's what's happening over here. The chilt is with the same time with gam mutter, even though we said it doesn't add anything, or it's detrimental even. It's not halachically problematic. Agav, apparently, chiltis, absorptions or the schmutz on the knife itself. But so we have this concept in Allah. Under normal circumstances, if you cut with a fleshik knife, that onion is fleshik. That onion is treated as a meat item. Why is that? Because a davar charif, a sharp item, brings out the absorption amount for the sponsorship, even though they just want to point out. So the issue over here is that even though it's cold, in a no saint tam l'shvach fashion. So the Gemara says as follows: V'aser Avdei Rabbi Levi. So we'll say this again. I just want to point out I'm not doing these halachic sugyas justice. And we'll see in Meretz Hashem there. Avdei Rabbi Levi havikamezab ben chiltisa. Well, it's actually quite interesting. The servant of Rabbi Levi used to sell chiltis. He used to sell this grain. Kinach nafshes Rabbi says. Kinach nafshes Rabbi Levi. Asul kamid Rabbi Yochanan. Amrulei mahu lemizban minez. You could buy it from him. Why? Whose hashgacha was it under? Rabbi Levi. Rabbi Levi. Now Rabbi Levi died. By chiltis from the servant. Whose hashgacha was it under? Rabbi Levi. Rabbi Levi. Now Rabbi Levi died. By chiltis from the servant of Rabbi Levi, even though again the Rav HaMachshir is dead. Right? Even though the Rav HaMachshir is dead, could we still buy chiltis from him? Of a chaver. We'll say chaver is a chaver. We use the word chaver in different ways. So chaver can mean a Talmid Chacham, but really what chaver means in this context is someone who is exceptionally careful and vigilant. They're exceptionally vigilant about the laws of kashrus halachas, but this also applies. Therefore, even though Rabbi Levi is dead, so this nevertheless, the servant is a servant of the household. We assume business. So what happens? So I will say, what happens when Rav Amram Chasida died? So we'll say, so what happened? Buy it from. By the way, this is true to this very day. Rashi says, over Anshe Beise, there's tchelas vendors who would go ahead and sell some type of dye that came from a tree. So Rabbi Yochanan, Rav Huna used to buy it from the wife of Rav Amram Chasida. Then what happens? So Rav Amram Chasida died. The shaila was what? Can you still continue to buy tchelas ultimately again from Mrs. Rav Amram Chasida? So Asala Kamit Rav Yosef Lahava Biyadeh came for Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef didn't know the answer. Paga should Yosef the pauper? How should he have answered this? The Beisei di Rav Noah Achud Rav Chia. This. The Beisei di Rav Noah Achud Rav Chia. Because I used to purchase. Apparently, about and what happens? And again, the same thing happened to me. The husband died, and I wanted to know, can I continue to buy the tchela like a chaver and ishes chaver as well? We'll say that the wife of a chaver is chaver as well. We'll say, so again, for our purposes, what that means is as follows: that if a man, let's say, is scrupulous, begin to see is it's not. It says, oh, we've seen two examples. What are the two examples? What? Household. Really what Rabbi as the chaver himself, meaning that that the Gemara is highlighting is that what? Household. So the Gemara says, therefore, turn about an ish chaver chaver, avdo she yachashtu. We'll say soon again. What? That chazaka that they are a household. Tan Rabbanan, we'll say first of the widest lines, Eishes now marries a chaver. The chaver. V'chein bito shel ha'aretz, or the slave, the servant of an does not automatically confer upon you divrei chaverus, which also means you have to actively becoming a part of. Aval ishes chaver shnisei marries an amaretz. V'chein bito shel Evan of a chaver becomes Evan of Amaretz. Now both say now let's say divorces her husband and then she marries an Amaretz. Wife, she then marries someone else. He can't remarry after this, but she marries and Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says, Rabbi say, they need not actively read. You have a chaver status, even if you simply reassume that status without any new reacceptance of standards. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Afi in actively. Rabbi say, what this literally means is you make an active declaration. As the V'china Hayar of Shimon Elazar Omer Ma'aseis Lachaver. Rabbi say there was once a story of a woman. Whether this means that he wasn't well, the point over here is that the woman herself was mishtatefes. She then married a tax collector. Now, also, they have to understand something. In the eyes of the short money, right? They were not known to be the most scrupulous and honest of individuals. Rashi says even stronger. Rashi went from being married to a chaver to ultimately being married to a tax collector. And what happens? For him, onto the hands of her first husband, to tying tax receipts onto the hands of her second husband. Amarav. So I will listen to this. Switching gears. This, I will say, in order to certify their kosher a particular item, a food item, to another Jew, and I'm employing the use measures do I have to put in place in order to ensure that the item I'm sending is the item that winds up. So the Gemara says, depending on the item, sometimes you need two simanim, two signs. One sign, one sim, you need two simanim. Champag, but for champag items, muter b'chosem, milk, wine, and tcheles. For something inferior, keeping the more expensive item himself. I will say, what's champag? That's chiltis. I will say, no, I'm sorry. Bread, gvina, cheese. I will say, these are all inexpensive items. So because that, I will say what? I'm not concerned that the quality control item, therefore mutar b'chosam echad. So I'll say requires one siman. What am I concerned about? Lemai, and the akum is going to switch it out for an old loaf. Discoverable. Kiti b'tisari. If I'm sending a weak loaf. We assume the akum is only going to swap. It's not worth his time. V'rav, my shnug category of items which only require one siman, because we assume milk was in the category of items that what say that's what that require va'ayil chatika chishabosai she'in basimin. So a type of fish that is not immediately must two simanim. So take out milk from as meat. In other words, we'll say meat is the same thing. Meat, right? Trei gavni basar. It's okay. We're just including two different types of meat. Good. Shmuel says, bayis aser. Bechosem echad. The items we'll see what our Shmuel. Bayis require two simanim. Machag muter bechosem echad. But machag just requires one sim. We'll say, what's bayis? Basar yayin tcheles asurim bechosem echad. So we'll say, ultimately, again, meat, wine, tcheles. So we'll say these are high value items. Therefore, if I'm sending require two simanim, two signs to ascertain the validity of these items. Murias chiltis kvina mutar b'chosim echad. We'll say murias, the fish dish, right? With the shmuel chati chazdak shein ba basar hainu. Excuse me, shema siman hainu basar. Trei gav. That's what a piece of fish is under the same umbrella as meat. And it's the same idea. The same way that if you're going in and sending a piece of meat to a Jew with an akum messenger, it requires 2 simanim to make sure the piece of meat is not swapped out. So too, again, what I will say, piece of fish will be the same exact thing. Tan Rabbanim. So let's listen to this. Ein lokchin yimach mechag besurya. It's actually right across in Rashi. Shechen v'nin shebesurya chashidi telo kapti alifne iver lo site mechshol umezabni the yisrael dvarim shalachu min ha'ovdei kochalim. So also listen to this. In Syria, this is actually quite dramatic. In Syria, you can't purchase yimach mechag. These to fellow Jews. He sends me a gift of that which he eats. He sends me a gift of that which he eats. Shook, but what? My melech salkundaras. All of the bakers of Rome eat was black salkundaras salt, but black is mutter. Rabbi Yehuda ben Gamliel, Shor Michani ben Gamliel, Omer Zuva Zuva. So it could be flavor. It's also Rashi box. So essentially, again, in order to be able to sell it as blocks, that was the kishkas of the blackfish, and so we'll say these items mentioned in the Mishnah ultimately again are asurim, but I will say they were asur ba'ana, asur ba'achila, not asur ba'ana. So we'll say, what does this list come to exclude? So according to Chizkiah, we'll say came to exclude the case of Yadua. Right there, we'll say that was the case of the preserves, where it was known for sure that wine was mixed in, it becomes asr, not just ba'achila, but also ba'ana. Rabbi Yochanan l'mi'utei murios u'gvinas beis unaiki ustam kredmeir. We'll say according to Rabbi Yochanan, came to exclude the case of murios, where he held that it was asr even ba'ana, and gvinas beis unaiki. And ultimately, the cheeses of Beis Akir, which according to him were also not just b'achila, but also ba'ano. Good, says the Mishnah. Ve'ilu mutar b'achila. We'll say these are the items which are permitted for consumption. What are they? Chelev shechalvu oved kochavim. So we'll say these are permitted for chelev shechalvu oved kochavim v'sisra roya. We'll say this is going to be very important. Milk that was v'hadav duvanios. We'll say dov devanios. Afapi shemanata means clusters of grapes, even though they're oozing juice. You know those juice coming out of the clusters. Ein bohem bishum hechsher mashke. And we'll say again that juice does not make them receptive to tumah. Ukvashin she'in badak lasal sochan yayin. And we'll say preserves, which the derech is not to put wine into it. Again, we'll discuss what all these cases are. The taris in the trufa. We'll say taris was this fish dish, but it was not minced up. V'tzir sheyesh badaga, and brine, Rabbi say, which had the daga, the kilbis fish, swimming around in it. Again, we're going to see in the Gemara what all of these things are. Va'ala shel chiltis, and a leaf of chiltis, not the stalk of the chiltis wheat, but the leaf of chiltis. V'zeisei gluskos hamegulgolin, and I will say cakes of, literally zeisei gulgolos means gluskos, cakes of olives. That were arranged in a circle, I will say. So again, we'll discuss all of these cases. Rabbi Yossi Omer hashlochin asurin. Rabbi Yossi says that the shlochin pitted olives. We'll discuss this in the Gemara. Hachavagim haboim min asasula asurin. We'll say ultimately again, grasshoppers which are sold from the basket are going to be asur. Mutarin. But grasshoppers that came from the storage area are going to be mutar, v'chein the truma. And I will say the same is true for truma. What that means, we'll have to see. I will say one line of the Gemara. Tanin al tan rabbanan. Yoshev Yisrael betzida edra shal ovid kochavim va'ovid kochavim cholev lo umevi lo eno choshesh. So we'll say, well, The Gemara says, I'll just introduce this case, but then we'll stop with this. The Mishnah begins by saying that if you have milk that is milked by a non-Jew, but the Yisrael sees him, such a milk is fit for consumption. So I will say the Brisa now says the following: that if the Yisrael is sitting by the edge of the flock of the Oved Kochavim, and the Oved Kochavim is milking the animals and brings the Yisrael milk, he's permitted to drink it, ve'eno choshesh, and he need not be worried. So says the Gemara, hey chidami, what's the case? Id deleka, divara time be'edro. Say if there are no non-kosher animals in the flock of the Gentile, then pshita. Then Rabbi say it's obvious that the Jew could drink the milk. V'id diika davar time be'edro. Amai. Rabbi say if there is ultimately again a non-kosher animal in the herd of the Gentile, then why should the Jew be permitted to drink the milk? So we'll say, again, we'll leave off with this question, and we'll pick it up tomorrow, and the Gemara is going to define